So here we are, a quick tour of my Georgetown branch layout. The layout begins over here in the staging yard, which represents Eckington Yard in Washington, D.C. And this is mainly just a staging yard, but will also feature a programming track here in the foreground. The train will continue across a flip-up bridge, which is hinged, and there's a magnet which attaches to some bolts mounted up to the ceiling, so that goes out of the way. Train continues around the curve and through the wall into the layout room. This section of the layout is Georgetown Junction, where the Metropolitan branch and the Georgetown branch met. The Georgetown branch broke off towards the west and headed south at this point. There's a set of team tracks over there in the corner. I'm doing a bunch of construction right now, so things aren't quite fully in place. I actually just started ripping this out today to ease the curve here. And what you'll see is the main line, the Metropolitan branch main line in the background, and the Georgetown branch coming off in the foreground. There's the team tracks. As you come around the curve, the E.C. Keys warehouse siding climbs up and over in the background. This will be serving a warehouse facility as well as aggregate materials, sand, gravel. In the foreground, there's a siding for a coal trestle, which will come off sort of there's a cutout right there. It'll come off there and sort of lay across here. Then the Georgetown branch main continues in the center there and passes over to what will be the Rock Creek. So the B&O cross Rock Creek on a trestle that is about 67 feet high, and at one point was one of the longest trestles on the system. Right now I've got a temporary bridge set up in place as a filler just for the time being. I'm in the process of building the trestle, working on the plans and getting all the templates set up. Continuing down the line, you come on down here and enter into what is Chevy Chase, Maryland. Here the B&O had a long passing siding and a team track, as well as a siding here serving the T.W. Perry yard, where they had lumber. They took lumber, fuel oil, coal, things of that nature. It was a building supply shop. The interesting thing about Connecticut Avenue is that when the Georgetown branch was originally built in the late 1800s, this was the terminus for many years, and there was a streetcar power station here, which the B&O provided coal for. Interestingly, coal was what was the first sort of product on the Georgetown branch, and also the last. Before they ripped up the rails in 1985, the last customer was the heating plant in Georgetown. So here you'll see the tracks, the arrangement that I have, and if we go down to the end, there's the switches. There will be a golf course represented here, a pool, some other suburban facilities. As we go around the corner, you'll go through a small view block and you'll be entering into Bethesda. Now, Bethesda was a major sort of area for the Georgetown branch. You can see on this valuation diagram, sort of highlighted in red, some of the sidings that were there in Bethesda. So I'll be modeling several of those, but of course in a truncated fashion. I decided to scratch build some curved turnouts in the corner, so right now I'm in the process of getting those lined up. It's taking some time. You can see some of the way that I have the track arranged in Bethesda. It's not finalized, but it's close. and I'm moving things around just to make sure I can get everything to fit the way that I want it to. And like I said, this is just a very rough idea of the sidings there. So the track will then continue across a lift-out bridge, which you can see the abutments for here. It's not in place at the moment. And it'll curve around and enter into Del Carlia Tunnel. So there'll be a tunnel portal there. And once it curves around, it passes back to the wall and onto the helix. The helix is rather tight. It's 19.5 inch radius. It's a fairly steep grade. I built it originally to fit beneath a stairwell in my old house. So it's pretty tight, but it works. And the Georgetown branch had mostly 4-axle diesels, first generation diesels in my time frame, which is the mid 40s to the mid 50s. So they work okay on here. Steam locomotives with more than 4 drivers have trouble. Well, 4 drivers and up have trouble on this. So likely those won't make it down this too easily. So down the helix, and then it will continue sort of through that hole in the wall there, or maybe across sort of towards this direction. It'll continue on, and now from here on out you're just going to see bench work, but you'll get an idea for sort of what the progress is. The bench work represents the area of Del Carlia Reservoir, the water treatment plant. So there'll be it'll cross over the DC Transit trolley line, and then it will continue to a facility where they unloaded sand and chlorine and various other chemicals for the water treatment plant. The line will continue back around in this corner, and there will be a very long trestle bridge, which will be representing the crossing at the C&O Canal. The track continues on around the corner, and here's where it will enter into Georgetown. So the rest of this stretch of the layout, which you can see is now just a shelf because of construction on the upper deck. The lower deck will be all simply just street trackage and switching. Georgetown had many industries. It existed. The Georgetown branch serviced Georgetown from 1910 until 1985. In that time, there were loads in and loads out. There was concrete batch plants. There was an industry that processed gravel and sand that was dredged from the Potomac River, and it was quite a busy spot in its heyday. And so that will be the terminus. This will be the terminus. Georgetown is the end of the line. The trains will bring their trains down here, and there was a dedicated switcher that operated in Georgetown, and the switcher will handle all the switching down in Georgetown, and the road engine will handle switching the line on the way back up the hill. So that's it. This is a quick overview of the layout. I know it's very much under construction, but I just wanted to get sort of an overview of where I am, and hopefully do more of these videos, give you guys some background and background to how the line operated and what made it special and interesting. If you're interested, you can look up my website, which is sluggyjunks.com, sluggyjunks.com/rr/gb, or just go to sluggyjunks.com and look for the Georgetown branch. I also have a blog that I update fairly recently, which you can get to through that site as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm looking forward to making some more in the future. Thanks.